Hello everyone, I'm Lilian from Fairy Oasis. Today I'd like to make a video for you on how I make one of these cuties. Little snails that you can put on your shelf or in your garden that won't eat your plants. I've been learning how to video edit, so bear with me as I'm figuring out how to do this. I'm not used to filming myself making things, so there are several times where, like you can see, I don't quite stay in frame, and it kind of makes me self-conscious of all the steps that I would normally go through. But this is the learning process. Here you can see I've set aside a little bit of the translucent clay to use as the antennae later on. Now we're going to work on our basic body shape. And we want to get a nice taper. And I've found a really good tool for getting consistent kind of grade on your taper is some cardboard. Just kind of put it at an angle. Needs that kind of waxy paper finish on one side, but avoid the black lettering on them or any really dark colors because that will transfer on your clay if it's a really light colored clay. But I've got a nice gradient that I can continue tapering by hand. There we have the clay for the antennae, and I'm going to roll those into shape now. It's not quite a measurement game, it's mostly gauging if I've got all the right proportions. And moving on. We're going to start speeding things up here so we're not sitting here for half an hour. The orange clay that I'm using is actually Sculpey 3, which conditions very quickly, and the gold clay is Primo. It takes a little bit longer to condition, so mixing them can be a smidge bit precarious, but you can do it. And we've got a little jiggling of the camera because I have the camera supported on the same table that I'm rolling on. So that is one thing I'm going to have to learn from. Moving on to some just orange clay. You can use a baby wipe to clean your hands. You want to get that color off before you move to another color of clay. Especially if you're working with black or red or anything sparkly that you don't want to transfer. I'm going to set aside a little bit of the black clay for later to use as the eyes. But this bit I'm going to mix in with that orange to get a darker color. Kind of trying to go for some kind of Halloween colors without being completely in the Halloween range. But again, the orange is the only Sculpey color I'm using. All the other colors are Primo, so they take a bit more conditioning. And blending. We've got a nice brown now. Feel like that and the orange will be good. Still mixing. Doop. There we go. I've decided that this particular sparkly orange that I've made isn't sparkly enough, so we're going to add some more gold. And more mixing. Conditioned that gold just a little bit before I mixed it in to help it mix in better. And let's see. After this bit, I decided that it was in fact sparkly enough, so moving on. we're going to give the body its cute little shape. And you'll see me pull over the regular body from time to time, which is a reference to make sure that I keep everything in the right shape. But now I'm moving on to making the shell. Remember that piece of cardboard that we used? That's going to come in handy here. It's one of those tools that's inexpensive and great for when you're starting out. And we're going to do that 2 more times, trying to get these all consistently length. They don't need to be consistently width. I'm not sure what word to use for that. They don't have to be exactly the same size, because we're going to mix them all together. One of the things I really enjoy is marbling. And there's so many different techniques you can use to get different kinds of marble. I'm not used to talking about this on a extended period, so this will be a learning process too. But yeah, I really do enjoy the marbling. The shells on my snails are one of my favorite things to make. Mostly because of all the marbling and the stripes and spots and different shapes I can get. Conditioning out those eyeballs. Getting them into a nice circular shape. And attaching antennae. Antennae. Is that how you say that? I think it is. There we go. Nice snail shape. Trying to work out the antenna to make sure that they attach thoroughly, but don't misshape the head too much. It's kind of a interesting game. Here I'm going to attempt to attach the eyeballs, but already made a small mistake that you'll see coming up here. I should have finished this body shape and then moved on to a different step so that the body would become stiffer. That's one of the nice things about Primo, is it stiffens up. It's not as malleable as Sculpey, so you can see the little indents where I put the eye in, and it didn't work like I planned it to, so I'm going to continue to attempt to attach the eyes here for a bit and be frustrated. One of the things you have to do when you're building these is sometimes you have to redo parts, and it can be frustrating, but that's how you get better. Trying again. But yeah, the body was too soft when I tried to put the eyes on, and the eyes weren't soft enough, so they just sort of pushed divots in instead of getting that cute little circular spread that I like to go for. So we're again getting off frame, and there we go. We've got the taper back, everything's nice and conditioned, so here we go, reshaping our snail body. And we're gonna give the antenna a little bit of extra antenna bit on the side to attach. Kind of cut it at an angle. Make it a little easier to attach. This works differently depending on the clay you're working with. smooth it out as much as we can. Get everything in a nice orderly fashion. Make sure those antennae are about the same size. This is a lot of talking. I'm starting to understand why people run music during these things. But I like the shape so far, so we're going to set that aside and work on something else so that all stiffens up and doesn't do the same thing it did last time. Getting a nice curl. Everything nicely. This is another one of those parts that I wouldn't know how to explain to someone how to do. It's just kind of a game of shaping it. Now we're going to attempt those eyes again. I'm definitely going to make sure they're extra soft this time. Straight edge blade is super useful. We're almost done with this little guy. We just have to get those eyes on and in frame, Lily, in frame. We just have to get these eyes on and give him a cute little mouth, and he'll be ready to pop into the oven. There we go. And we're going to use the sharp edge of the straight blade this time. Yeah, got it on the first try. Ta-da! One snail, ready for the oven. If you've made it this far, even with my awkwardness, I would like to thank you immensely for joining me for this learning process. If you have any suggestions about how I can better film or record, I would love to hear them down in the comments. If you are a user of closed captions or subtitles, I have done my best to include closed captions in the bottom. I do have dyslexia though, so I do not always see when I make a mistake. So if you catch one, just let me know and I'll go in and fix it. Thank you so much again, and have a great day and stay safe.